Oh, hello, and good morning. This morning we're going to have a full roundup of everything from the World Championships, leading with the amazing new Nightlords kill team that's been previewed during the preview show, but we're going to cover all the other previews as well, and we're going to give you the latest updates from the Kill Team World Championship tournament as well at the end of the video, so do stay for that if you want to see who's made it into the top cut. So we're going to start off by looking at the Nightlords Nemesis Claw team, just previewed this morning at the preview event, right? So it's another team based off of the Chaos Space Marines kit, so it's kind of going to be very similar to Legionaries. Let's have a look at what we've got. So starting, I'm going to get my laser pointer here. Okay. Laser pointer, where are you? There you are. Okay, wonderful. So starting on the left-hand side of the screen, we have the proper name for this guy. He is called the Ventrilocar, okay? And Warcom says about this guy, his puppet's corrupted omniphagia, which is one of the Space Marine organs, which I'm probably not pronouncing correctly, but there you go, can mimic the voices of anyone whose flesh it consumes. So this could be a very flavorful ability where you, I'm thinking like a negative comms for your team. So like you can debuff one of your opponents within range with -1 APL by like giving them fake orders, making it sound like it's their captain giving them an order to do something stupid and causing confusion. Maybe that's what it does. Maybe it does something completely different. That's my speculation. But the text there is from Warcom. We have a heavy gunner. We have a guy with lightning claws who looks like a mini Conrad Kurz. That's pretty cool. We have a guy that was called out on the stream as being a stealth specialist with a venom blade and a scoped pistol. We have a gunner with a plasma gun. We have what is, I assume, is going to be an aspiring champion, shown off here with a plasma pistol and a cool chainsword that's interesting and bespoke looking. We have a standard icon bearer, so it looks like you'll be able to run this team with double icon bearer. If you want to have both the icon bearer and the ventrilocar, that will be your prerogative. Looks like we have two standard warriors, bolter and pistol and chainsword, and then a fellow with a chain glaive as well for a combat guy. So the models, I have to say, they look really awesome. I really like the look of this team. I was thinking of doing a Legionaries team of Red Corsairs at some point soon. That's not happening now. I'm hanging on for the Nightlords. They're going to do a Nightlords team. They look amazing. They really do. I think the models look amazing. I really like these. These look really good. So what else do we know about the Nightlords? Well, actually, surprisingly, a fair bit. So, over on Warcom, they've told us that their faction ability in Midnight Clad obscures them from enemy fire while lurking around terrain, only to burst from concealment in a whirlwind of blood and blades. So, this sounds immediately strong to me. Anything that is involving manipulating the line of sight rules in Kill Team is going to be, I think, potentially quite strong. Right now, you aren't obscured if you're within 2 inches of terrain. Maybe the Nightlords, it says about lurking around terrain, so maybe Nightlords have a 1 inch obscurity, so maybe that they can claim obscured within an extra inch, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I think, if I engage my really wrinkly brain, I think that probably ends up being a big difference, right? Because you'll be obscured more of the time, be easier for you to maneuver your models around, get close to your opponent, and hopefully keep them protected as you advance up the board, which sounds really good. It also seems to me that maybe they get charged from Conceal. Now, I know that's already a power the Commandos have, and it would feel kind of strange giving them the same ability that Commandos already have, but if you look at that bit of text there about only to burst from concealment in a whirlwind of blood and blades, like, I'm just basically noting that they call out the word concealment and the word obscures, and they're both related to actual rules terms in Kill Team. So perhaps they have both those abilities. Again, that would sound rather strong, and this is just my speculation. But the quote at the top is from Warcom, so you draw your own guesses, conclusions at what that might be, and you leave them for me down in the comments, and we will all speculate together and then see who arrives closest to the truth. Now, the rule is called in Midnight Clad, so this is going to be, in rules as well, a very Nightlords flavoured team, which you might think was obvious, but when we first heard these Nightlords rumours from Mr. Chapter Master Valrak, one bit of speculation I had was maybe it was going to be a generic Chaos Space Marine team rules-wise that just happened to be Nightlords themed in terms of the miniatures. In the same way that the Vet Guard team is made up of Krieg models, but actually the rules don't have any particular Krieg flavour. Well, we now know that's not the case. This is a Nightlords flavoured team in rules as well. Of course, you could still proxy them if you wanted to do something else, but they are going to obviously be designed from the ground up to be Nightlords based. We also know that the kit itself uses the phenomenal Chaos Space Marines as a base, so this is a second upgrade for the Chaos Space Marines, I've said, and features an extra large upgrade sprue full of macabre, I can't pronounce that word, from draped skins and trophies to winged helmets and flensing blades. So the upgrade sprue is physically larger, which is fantastic. It does sound a little bit like they kind of wanted to do a Nightlords upgrade sprue to sell to Chaos players for 40k when the Chaos Codex comes out, and this was a way of them releasing that as a kill team as well, right? It will be really interesting if we go on to see Iron Warriors, Word Bearers, and Alpha Legion upgrade sprues. I mean, it would be a mad world, surely, if we saw Iron Warriors, Word Bearers, and Alpha Legion kill teams, right? That's a lot of Chaos Warbound kill teams. Although I do think it is... I've always thought this. I've thought this for a very long time. The Nightlords, the Iron Warriors, the Word Bearers, and the Alpha Legion. So, which, along with the Black Legion, are the famous non-God aligned Chaos Legions, right? Now, Black Legion don't need an upgrade sprue because the default look of the Chaos Space Marine kits is very Black Legion. But those are the four. They have been kind of really for as long as Chaos has existed. It's been hard to kind of play those legions and make your army look right. So this is the first time that I can remember where it's been really, really easy. And I can see people wanting to do entire Nightlords armies with these Nightlords models. So I don't begrudge the 40k players. I would love to see the other legions and stuff, but it does feel a little bit like the kill team maybe it isn't the most obvious thing to come to kill team, but then again, I really want one and I think they look amazing. So actually, Games Workshop are getting away with it, aren't they? They're getting away with it. Let's talk about the likely team list. So it looks like we're getting an aspiring champion, I will call him, with a plasma pistol and a chainsword. There are no alternate builds pictured on Warcom or on in the video. I have scrubbed through the video as well. Now, there are loads of options in the plastic Chaos Space Marine kit. So there's, Power Fist, Power Maul, Power Axe, and there's bolt pistols. So it could be similar to Legionaries that you can play the new guy, or you can make a standard aspiring champion. Maybe they're different lead options, or maybe the new guy will have war gear options. What will be quite sad is if the Power Fist, for example, ends up being mechanically the best option and not the cool bespoke looking kind of skeleton chainsword thing. Obviously the way they've built him in here from the set is really cool looking. You're going to have a gunner, who I imagine, we've seen him with the plasma gun. I can only imagine he'll also have access to a melter gun and a flamer. It's pretty irrelevant. You're going to use the plasma gun. There is an argument for the melter gun. It is more powerful than a plasma gun. It doesn't get hot, and most shooting in 40k comes down to range red. In kill team, rather, comes down for range red anyway. But yeah, you probably have those options. When it comes to the heavy gunner, I would assume you're going to have heavy bolter option as well as the missile launch, because they're on the sprue. You're not going to get the chain cannon option, I wouldn't imagine, because remember that resides for Legionaries, that resides on the upgrade sprue. So I would imagine that will stay as a unique thing for the Legionary team. And then we know we've got the Ventrilocar, who I've speculated has some kind of debuff, a -1 APL perhaps of some kind that he can put on an opponent. We've got the Lightning Claw fella, who presumably just has a pair of Lightning Claws. Couldn't find what rules for a pair of Lightning Claws would be in Kill Team. I don't think we've seen anybody with Lightning Claws in Kill. Let me know in the comments if I missed somebody that has Lightning Claws from like the Compendium or something. Maybe there's some somewhere, but I don't remember seeing Kill Team rules for Lightning Claws. We've got a Stealth Specialist who now has a Poison Knife. Maybe the Poison Knife's going to be something like Lethal 4-up 4/4, related to how Drakari kind of poisons and things work. Don't know. We've got a Chainglaive guy. Now, I think the Chainglaive guy could end up being quite similar to the Butcher in Legionaries, because it's a very similar kind of aesthetic. It's a big double-handed chain weapon. We've got Icon Bearer, so I'm going to assume that's going to be exactly the same as Legionaries, right? It's going to be the +1 APL on objective, just like Legionaries and just like half a dozen other Icon guys that exist in Kill Team, but I could be surprised. And then Warriors with Bolter or Close Combat Weapon. I mean, the Icon Bearer will probably also have Bolter or Close Combat Weapon as well. The Warriors are likely pointless, and you never take them. So, mechanically, rules-wise, these are really similar to Legionaries, right? Because you've got your leader with a plasma pistol, you've got your gunner and your heavy gunner, and then you've got kind of an Icon Bearer, 4 specialists, and then Warriors. So, much like building a Legionaries team, depending on how the weirdness goes with the leader, but other than that, it's going to be you pick 2 specialists not to take, right? I think they're so similar looking to Legionaries that one worry that I have is that I suspect that one team or the other will end up being mechanically better than the other in a very kind of clear, and that's not. Doesn't sound like a big deal because, of course, we have tier lists. We know that some teams are better than others, but what pulls people up to the different teams is they go, "Yo, this team might not be very good, but I like the look and the feel and the aesthetic." Because these teams are so similar, Games Workshop are going to have to be very careful to make them have unique kind of things and feels. Even if one is marginally better, the other one has to feel interesting and good and different to stop one of the Chaos Space Marine teams just completely eclipsing the other one. So that'll be really interesting to see how they manage it. Legionaries do generally have more options because they've got the chain cannon, and they've got the 2 leaders to choose from. I've kind of talked a bit about the leaders. Not quite clear how that's going to work. I will also say that I'm kind of expecting, alongside all the new ploys that they will get, I kind of expect that the Nightlords will get access to Hateful Volleys, Hateful Assault, which is Bolter Discipline, right, by another name, and Fight Twice by another name. But they are Space Marines. I think they need those for the game to be sort of consistent, have that Ludo narrative, not dissonance, the opposite of dissonance. Congruence, but yeah, that, and I think they probably have veterans of the Long War as well, because they are Nightlords. They are, veterans of the Long War. They were there, so I'd expect those 3 to come through alongside some new strategic and tactical ploys, replacing the ones from the Legionaries list. Last thing on Kill Team before we blast through some of the other stuff. So it's worth saying that Valrak was right. As I tried to say, I'm pretty sure Valrak's on the money with this Kill Team Nightmare stuff, because his rumours only ever have this much detail when he's absolutely sold on them. People told me, no, it can't be. Valrak's quite wrong all the time. He was wrong about Space Hulk, which is true, but you can kind of tell from his manner when he's really sure about something, and I kind of felt he was really sure about this, and, it does seem now that Mandrakes are a safe bet. So no sign of any Mandrakes today, but there will be other previews. I think this set, Kill Team Nightmare, is a fair way out by my reckoning. I don't think it's going to come out imminently. It could come out anytime really in January or February. By my reckoning, we keep banging on about seasons, and there's people that want to tell me I'm wrong, and in fact there's people that want to tell me I'm wrong in different ways that don't agree with each other, so it's not like it's me against the world. There are at least 3 discrete positions when it comes to what winter consists of, on this roadmap. So my reckoning is they need to be out before the end of February to be on schedule. And so therefore, the next preview seminar, we know there's a preview seminar at the LVO on the 19th of January. It's not been announced on Warcom yet, but it has been announced on the LVO's website, right? So 4:30 a.m. UK time. I think it's 8:30 p.m. local in Las Vegas, right? Now, the online event might be an hour later than that. I actually hope that it is, because getting up at 5:30 on a work day just means getting up half an hour earlier. Getting up at 4:30 is an hour and a half earlier. You know, I can get up to watch it at 5:30 and still go to work and have a reasonable day, right? So I think this isn't going to be going up for pre-order before the 19th of January. I think the back half of the box is probably going to be shown off on the 19th of January. And then it will come out probably quite soon after that for Sunday pre-order, and then 2 weeks. So we'll be looking end of January, start of February for Kill Team Nightmare. I think I could be dead wrong. That's just my thoughts, right? And now we're done with Kill Team. So very quickly we're going to go through some of the other stuff. Necrons, so they showed off Orican the Diviner. It's fine. I think all these Necron characters are starting to look a little bit generic. Like, if you look at Orican the Diviner there in the big picture, and then you look at the newly revealed Necron Overlord in the bottom left, and then you look at Trajan the Infinite. Is that not Trajan the Infinite? It's that's the other. I mix them up. Right, it's Trajan's the one they haven't done yet, isn't it? It's Imhotep down there. Imhotep the Stormlord. The special characters don't look... I actually think the generic character is the coolest looking out of the three, because he's got the sort of swirls of the data-y looking necrodermis-y stuff. But there you go. I think Necrons... I used to really like Necrons. I think the new direction they've taken Necrons in, subtly, has made them slightly less interesting to me, in a way. But there you go. Necrons have more than Mechanicum got, right? So three characters in a book, whereas Mechanicum got a one character in a book. And then completing this little release, there's a Crusade book to go along with them that features Necrons versus Mechanicum. I actually really like the art on the cover of the Crusade book. There's, it looks like a Necron book, but then right in the foreground there, actually coloured green, but in the foreground is a Mechanicum guy. I think somehow that little detail, I just think that the art's really cool. So, yeah, Necrons. Dark Angels. So, some people got very excited when over on Instagram they do it like 3 days to go, 2 days to go, 1 day to go, and the 1 day to go thing was the Dark Angels logo. And a lot of people got really excited. Oh, we're going to see all the Dark Angel stuff. So we haven't seen all the Dark Angel stuff, right? We've seen 2 kits shown off for the Dark Angels. We've got the Deathwing Knights and Asmodee. Asmodee's quite cool. The smoke is optional. If you look on Warcom, there's some other pictures. Also, I noticed that I've butchered that picture of Asmodee, and it looks slightly squashed. That's just me. I've done it dirty on the PowerPoint, right? Don't worry about that. Go to Warcom and look at the good pictures, please, and thank you. Asmodee's quite cool. The smoke is optional for people who like or dislike smoke. I'm quite glad that I don't play Dark Angels, because I would have a real war with myself over that smoke, because on the one hand, I think it looks really cool, and on the other hand, I don't really want to paint it. Like, I don't really want to have to paint a smooth blend like that on a giant piece of smoke. So, quite glad I don't play Dark Angels, therefore I don't have to make that choice. I'd be interested to see what Zimbad makes, because I'm sure Zimbad will just buy all of the Dark Angel stuff, right? Because that Dark Angels is like his big fanboy army, in the same way that I will buy everything they do for Sisters, right? He also has head options. He can have his hood up or his hood down, depending on what you want. I think hood up is the only real choice, but that's my aesthetic, right? The Terminators are really interesting. At first I thought they were a little bit bland. They do look a little bit bland. They seem to have less grimdark about them. They do have an option for maces, not pictured here. It's on Warcom, but the maces look more like, straightforward science fiction maces, as much as a mace can be a science fiction thing. Whereas the old maces on the old kit were like these giant sensors on the end of handles. So these look a lot more powerful, but sensible. They remind me of 30k. I think they have a kind of very clean lines 30k aesthetic in a lot of ways, right? I think they've taken design cues from some of the Dark Angels units from 30k, whereas the previous iteration on Deathwing Knights was a lot more grimdark and had a lot more kind of pseudo-religious iconography, which I know some people call it grim derp and get vexed by it, but I don't know. I don't know what I think about these. On the other hand, it is nice to see them with swords. I always thought it was weird that the Dark Angels, their icon is a sword and they have all the knightly things going on, but then actually one of their biggest main elite units didn't use swords, so it's nice to see that. Yeah, I don't know. Dark Angels players, let me know in the comments what you think about that. It does say on the article, however, that there are yet more secrets to come from the Dark Angels. But acolytes must bide your time. So I expect these will be shown off at LVO, and that's as I said, that's coming in January. And then Dark Angels releasing aren't really supposed to be releasing until spring. So that's March, April, May on the roadmap. Okay. Speaking of roadmaps, we did actually get an updated roadmap for 40k. Only 40k. We haven't had an updated roadmap for any of the other games. Genuinely wasn't expecting this till Warhammer Fest, which is usually at the end of April. Actually slightly weird. I'm not sure yet because I haven't totally checked when tickets went up for sale for Fest last year. But I'm pretty sure it was November, right? That they announced Fest and they announced the dates so people could put it in their diary, and they pre-sold the tickets and they started to build the hype for Fest. We've not heard a peep about Fest yet. I kind of wonder if it's even happening because, like, last year's Warhammer Fest was poorly received, I think, by a lot of people in a lot of different ways. So it'll be interesting to see if Fest happens and if it's happening at the same venue. Obviously, I'm really hyped for the Sisters of Battle, the Adeptus Sororitas. They are one of the next codexes coming up that we found out about, which is great. I was not actually that hopeful we were going to get, because somebody's got to be last, right? Like, and in the last, it's funny, in the last edition of 40k, it was the Guard, and now it looks depressingly like it might be the Guard again. Now I'm not expecting a lot of miniatures for the Sisters. I think we'll probably get similar to Admech. We'll get a model, and then we'll get, a priest or something, or perhaps Death Cult Assassins or Crusaders or something. One thing and a book. That'd be fine. That would suit me. That's great. That's what I want. They did put a redacted codex on there, which is said to be super secret. I think this could be the 40k Emperor's Children or Noise Marine army that's been long watched for. I could see an Emperor's Children versus Sisters battle box being kind of fun, although they haven't really been doing those, the 2-army battle boxes with the new characters in. That's the first place to get the new character for a long while, plus a load of miniatures that you could already get. I don't know if they will, because obviously it's a new army for Emperor's Children, so probably they'll want to do a FOMO box for the Emperor's Children, right? So maybe not, but it would be kind of fun. Also interesting on the roadmap is that the Orcs have been pulled out of the stack for spring 2024. If you look at the old roadmap down the bottom there, the Orcs have been pulled out of the stack and made massive. So, showing that they're going to be the next army after Dark Angels or alongside Dark Angels. I actually think if we look, and credit to Zimbad for pointing this out, I actually think if we look at the 40k roadmap, the order in which the boxes are, top to bottom, in each season, I think indicates the release order of the codexes in each season. So I think we're getting Dark Angels, then Orcs, then Custodes, then Tau, then Chaos Space Marines in the spring. And then we're going to get GCL Occults, and then Adeptus Sororitas, and then the new army, secret codex in the summer. I think that the order there of those on there is actually relevant. Because it's not alphabetical order, right? It is an order that is not alphabetical order, so that'll be interesting. Now, the only interesting thing I was saying that is, they did say that the fact that Tyranids were coming out before Space Marines was determined by the result of the campaign with the codes. On the roadmap, Tyranids is ahead of Space Marines. Games Workshop. Did you? Anyway. Fleshies of Court. Oh my gosh, there was so much stuff for Fleshies of Court, and I was just starting to cram all of it onto a slide, and I didn't have any space for any text. I really quite like a lot of the Fleshies of Court stuff. I'm surprised they got a new kit for their basic ghouls, the Crypt Guard up there. I think the basic ghoul kit is fine. Everything else seems to be an added extra. One of the best models, and I've not done it justice here, I've put a tiny picture in the middle of the slide, is that there is Usheran, the Mortarch of Delusion. So there's a new Mortarch model. For those of you that aren't familiar, across all the Death Grand Alliance armies, Nagashi's Mortarchs are like his inner circle, his inner council. You know, there were 3 Mortarchs created in the end times, all on one kit. So you had Archon the Black, you had Nephrata, and you had Manfred von Karstein, and since then they've been adding every time. So there's Lady Elinda, the Night Host Mortarch, and then there's the guy whose name I can't remember, who's the Ossiarch Bone Reapers Mortarch, and now the Fleshies of Court have their own Mortarch, which, sorry for coughing down the microphone, have their own Mortarch, which is part of Nagashi's kind of inner circle, inner council, which is pretty cool. The Fleshies of Court are going to get a FOMO box. I haven't put a picture of everything in the FOMO box on here, but there is one out there on the internet for you to look at. It's most of this stuff, right? Not the Mortarch. The Codex cover there is the FOMO box Codex cover art, and they also announced Book 4 of Dawnbringers, The Mad King Rises, which is all about this new Mortarch model. They didn't say much about what else was in there, but usually with these, we get a book and a model, right? And then we move on. So that's that. Just some more stuff to touch on with the Fleshies of Court. So we've now run the course of the roadmap from Warhammer Fest. We've seen everything that's going to be on the that's going to come out for Age of Sigmar. So this puts us right on track for a new edition of Age of Sigmar to headline at Warhammer Fest 2024, which I would expect to be Stormcast Eternals versus Chaos, right? Because we're back. They've done all 3. The first edition was a Stormcast versus Chaos box. Then they did a Stormcast versus Death box. Then they did a Stormcast versus Destruction box. So I think we're going to loop back to a Stormcast versus Chaos box, but I don't know. And then just to remind people that there are 2 more models that are part of the Fleshies of Court's release that were previewed on Warcom already. I've put them down there for completeness. So that's the Fleshies of Court stuff. I really think that Judge is one of the coolest models they've done. Like, the others are awesome, fine, yeah, but the Judge really hammers home the delusion and the delusion of grandeur and the not quite understanding what's going on that the Fleshies of Court are going on. I just love the wig made of entrails. It's one of the best things I've seen out of Games Workshop in a little while. It's amazing. Dagox Stab Lads. So there's a new Warhammer Underworlds warband, and I'm actually getting into Warhammer Underworlds a little bit. I am gonna Sons of Velmorn on my painting list for the rest of this year. I'm gonna try and get those done. I've kind of been looking at Glass Half Dead's stuff about getting restarted in Underworlds. I have not got a copy of the rulebook, so I printed off at work the Death Gorge the most up-to-date copy of the rulebook, which I've been having a little look at. But these are particularly uninspiring, not just because I think the Cruel Boys were kind of a needless addition to Age of Sigmar, but like these 3 guys could just be in a Cruel Boys regiment in Age of Sigmar, and you wouldn't even know they were supposed to be anything special, right? There were a load of spoiler images of the cards for these, which mean nothing to me because I know very little about Warhammer Underworlds, so I've not included them because I can't talk about them coherently. But what I can say is that we've just got one thing left on the roadmap now, 2023, for Warhammer Underworlds, which is one more Rivals deck, and then I assume we're anticipating another core box, right? In spring, right? I think. I don't really know. Warhammer Underworlds bros, let me know in the comments what's going on with that. The Horus heresy. Now, a little bit of a letdown, because as you look at the roadmap for winter for the Horus Heresy, you'll see Plastic Mystery Army. and I think a lot of people are expecting that plastic mystery army, presumably the Solar Auxilium, to show up at this preview. I'm guessing they're now going to show up at the LVO, right? But what we did get for the Horus Heresy was the Assault Squad, which is the other thing in that section for plastic for winter. So Plastic Mark 6 Assault Squad, which should make some people very, very happy. Blood Angels players, you know, especially because they've got like a detachment where they can have all Assault Marines. The Assault Squad comes with enough combat shields for the entire squad, so they only show one model with combat shields, but it does come with 10. And not pictured, apparently, there's a plasma pistol and a power fist option for the sergeant as well. So yeah, fills a hole. A bit of a boring release because, like, picture a Plastic Mark 6 Assault Squad. There you go, that's what it looks like. But for the people that really want one, and it's nice that it comes with a shield, that's a nice little extra that people weren't necessarily anticipating. So that's really cool. That is really cool. A little bit for Necromunda. So this is part of their thing where they're giving out vehicles for the various factions for use in the Ash Waste. Never played the Ash Wastes. But this one was interesting because it's the Tauros Vena. So if you're old, you'll remember that the Tauros Vena used to be a little resin kit for the Elysian Drop Troopers, which are an old range of Imperial Guard in resin that used to be supported by Forge World a very long time ago. So it's kind of cool, I think, to see that concept come back. I think it's cool. If you're cynical, you could say that it was recycling, right? That they already had the assets for what a Tauros Vena should look like, so they could be able to save themselves a little bit of work by just tweaking it around a little bit. But no, I think it's really cool, and it's cool and it's nostalgic, and it's interesting to have that come back. Yeah, and I like things that make the universe of 40k like make a little bit of sense, and the fact that this exists in the world and is an Imperial vehicle, and yeah, the Elysian Drop Troopers use it because it's lightweight and fits their purpose, but maybe it's more commonly used for sort of PDF and Enforcer type forces on worlds where it's suitable. Makes a lot of sense, right? It also looks nice and similar to the Genestealer Occult things, which are themselves supposed to be Imperial vehicles, and so it creates a kind of whole mental class of Imperial vehicle that looks a bit like a Dune buggy, right? We've got some Tomb Kings as well, the last thing that was revealed at the reveal show. I was expecting to see more for the Tomb Kings outside of one kit. I thought we were going to get every single Tomb Kings kit, like we got every single Bretonnians kit. I seem to remember that's vaguely what they said would happen, but it hasn't happened. They do say on the article we've got more details to show out Warhammer The Old World before the end of the year, so that's good. Warhammer The Old World is apparently still on schedule to be the first release of 2024. I'm hearing it's not necessarily going to have a starter box. It's going to have two, so you're going to effectively get like a FOMO box for the Bretonnians and a FOMO box for the Tomb Kings separately, but not like a box, like a battle box with Tomb Kings and the Bretonnians in it together. That's what I hear, which I guess is a good thing. Are they moving away from two-player sets? Don't know. I don't like this model. I don't like Tomb Kings. I love Undead. But I love Vampire Count style Undead. Tomb Kings type stuff does very little for me. So this model actually does very little for me, but I'm sure some people are going to love it, not least because it's got a mummified cat on there as well. I know people go mad for the pet thing. One thing that I would point out that is pretty cool is it builds two versions, as can be seen in the pictures down below. So I get my laser pointer. You've got the sort of the main version here with the guy up here with the spear, and then you've got the kind of different version down here. There's some kind of wizard, and it's interesting. So whichever one you build, you get the on-foot character that you didn't build to use in plastic in your Tomb King's army, which is nice. Let's have a rumour roundup. So this is everything collated from the roadmaps and a couple of other extra little bits and pieces that we can see. So we've got the Kill Team Season 3 Box 1, Scouts and Scorpions, which is late. Expecting it, hoping it, praying for it to come out on Sunday preview tomorrow, which might mean I make another video, 2 videos in a weekend. Lucky you. And then December, January, February, we've now seen a preview of the lion's share of stuff that's supposed to be coming out in the winter. We're still missing the Plastic Mystery Army for 30k, resin characters and upgrades for 30k. Well, I mean, that's a vague one because, I mean, we've seen the White Scars Stormbringer guy, the Psyker. Is that it? Is that the resin character? It could be. But I haven't coloured that one in because they're going to continue to preview resin characters and upgrades every week on Heresy Thursday. That's just what they do. We're due to have a Warhammer Underworlds Rivals deck, which is meh. That will just sneak out on Warcom, I imagine. And a new Warcry box with 2 new warbands, Order and Death. Waiting to see that one because of the Death warband's cool. I'll pick it up for my collection of Death stuff that I have, even though I don't really play much Warcry. So, predictions for LVO, and of course we've seen the Dark Angels, which are coming out a bit later, and I've added onto the roadmap there the Doomsteel Occult, the Sisters of Battle Army, and the Super Secret Army, which may or may not be Emperor's Children related, right? So, LVO predictions. I think we're going to see the Kill Team Mandrakes and the confirmation of Kill Team Nightmare. I think we're going to get a new Warcry box. I think the 30k Solar Auxilia, maybe with some resin as well, so it's like a plastic army, but then some resin characters. Probably the rest of the Dark Angels as well, right? And maybe we see some Orcs, see what we're getting for the Orcs. Yeah, that's what I think we will see at the LVO. I mean, that seems like a little bit of a short list. I'm sure they can add in some stuff that we don't have a roadmap for, some Necromunda, some Blood Bowl, you know, things like that. They can always drop other random stuff in, like a new edition of Warhammer Quest or whatever else they want to do. Right, well, it wasn't all about reveals. We also can talk about the World Champions winners bracket. So, the Kill Team World Champions is halfway. It's well underway. There's been 2 days of gaming already, so everybody has participated in a 5-round group stage, right? Which we've been following on BCP over on the Discord and kind of sharing the screenshots and talking about things. A couple of people who are actually at the event have been updating and saying things as well. We on the Discord are all rooting for Ryan Slater from Turning Point Tactics to bring the trophy home to the origin country of the activity, back to the UK, because this is what we do in the UK. We invent games and then other people get better at them than us, and generally we don't win things, so that would be really cool. Ryan's a great guy as well. So yeah, been rooting for him from the start. He's been having an amazing event. I think he only lost 1 game in the group stage, and he's gone in. Not that it means anything now, that it's a completely new tournament. All these people starting on an equal footing, but I think he went into the winners bracket with the most wins out of anybody, right? So I think that's a really good thing. And all our best hopes and wishes for Ryan. We will all be rooting for him once the bracket starts off later this evening, right? Because they're asleep now in the USA, I think. But once the bracket starts off this evening, we'll be able to see what's happening, and we're all looking forward to that. But it would be foolish to underestimate Orion, also through their last year's world champion, right? The winner of last year's champs with Galapox, Orion from the USA. So we've got Ryan and Orion, which is interesting. And then, we've got 3 from Spain, not Ace. So Ace had a bad group stage. Really surprising. Really, like most people assume Ace was definitely going to get into the winners bracket because he's the number 1 ranked on ITC points. But yeah, really bad group stage. Really surprising. Really gutted for Ace because, again, Ace is a lovely guy. We've had a couple of others not make it through. Machuez, the Polish number 1, not made it through. Now we have got a Polish player, which is great to see that we have players from the USA, the UK, Spain and Poland all represented, because those are kind of the 4 big kill team scenes that you hear about. And we've got an Australian. Don't know how big kill team is in Australia, right? If you're an Australian kill teamer, speak up in the comments, let me know how big and how influential your scene is as well. So that's really interesting. Yeah. John from Wales, also not in the top cut. That's my little joke. That's Canyon Roller Crit, who put in his form, not UK, but representing Wales as distinct from the other nations in the nation of the United Kingdom. But no, did not make the top cut. I want to talk a little bit about commentary. So GW aren't streaming the Kill Team games, which is absolutely gutting, because they're streaming the 40k and the Age of Sigmar, but not the Kill Team and not the Underworlds. But they are allowing other people to stream it. So the Spanish guys, like Ace's group, the Kill Team Mercenaries, are streaming. There are streams of some of the championship group stages. But obviously in Spanish, which is great for the Spanish community and less good for the English. Like, I dropped into one of the streams to see if I could follow what was happening without the commentary, and it's just two people moving models around. Like, you need a little bit of commentary there to really follow it. I think if Games Workshop keep up this policy of allowing other people to stream the event, but they themselves are not going to stream it, then we as a community need to work it out with Glass Half Dead and Games Workshop so that we can get Mr. Glandy to go over there to stream the Worlds next year. I don't know whether that involves everybody throwing £1 into a GoFundMe for his air ticket, or we just all write to Games Workshop and say, look, will you also give him effectively a golden ticket package or something? But it's like it needs to happen. It needs, like, Andy, if you're watching, I've just volunteered you. Someone needs to go and comment on this, and you are the natural choice, right? So next year, hopefully, some English commentary. I mean, preferably from Games Workshop itself, right? Preferably they would give Kill Team the respect that it deserves. But if not that, then someone from the community, and Glandy is the obvious choice, I think, to go over there and comment on it. But there you go. Anyway, like I say, we're all on tenterhooks waiting for Ryan to win, hopefully, to win. And, you know, it's worth knowing that, again, we got Shane from Command Points over there, we've got Ryan, Turning Point Tactics over there, and John from Wales, otherwise known as Can You Roll a Crit over there. So we are going to get a lot of tournament reports after the fact, like, and get a decent idea of what went on and how it was and how games went and that kind of thing. But it doesn't quite make up for the lack of a live stream. Anyway, I'll stop. I don't want to end my video on a negative note, but I do wish the games were streamed. All right. Right, final thoughts. Like, I really want to stress, man, I love those Nightlords. I think they look amazing. I definitely want them. They're definitely going to be one of my hobby challenges this year. Whether it's going to be for the first hobby challenge or the second hobby challenge depends on release dates. But I really, really want those Nightlords. I think they look really cool. Nothing else in terms of the plastic they've put out really speaks to me, though, from the preview. Let me know. Let me know down below. And I would love your speculation about Nightlords rules down below as well. This video has been a struggle against my circadian rhythm. So I went to bed at 9 PM on Friday. I got up at 2:30. I watched the stream at 3 AM. It's now just past 7 AM. And I've just about finished recording the video. If you've enjoyed the video and you're not subscribed, please do consider subscribing. Even if you never watch another of my videos, just consider it your way of rewarding me for doing this for you. Trying to get to 10,000 subscribers so the Big Games Workshop notices me and sends me some free stuff to review. So if you can help me on that journey, that's really helpful. And if you're feeling super amazing, there's you can become a channel member and make a regular monthly contribution to the channel. But even if you don't want to do that, even if you just want to buy me a coffee, later today, there's a thanks button, which I don't think anybody's ever used, which I think is like a one-off monetary tip button, if that's something that you would consider. This has been a little bit of an extra effort on my behalf, so I'd appreciate that. And finally, let me know if you're following the World Championships. Can Ryan bring it home, do you think? We really in the Discord are trying to get into this is how football fans feel, right? This is our football. We understand what Kill Team is, and we understand how much work goes into it, and we understand and respect the people who can play it at the most elite level, and that's what's happening here. And so we are really looking forward to and really rooting for Ryan to bring it home to the UK. That'd be really, really good. Rooting for you. All right, guys. Thank you. This has been a almost 3/4 of an hour roundup of what was itself only a 1-hour stream. Hopefully I've added value, because I've not summarised. Hopefully I've added value. Okay. Hope you enjoy it. Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much. And goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheerio.